Hi, this is Nicki Ahadpour. Thanks for joining us for the Corsair Sports Minute. This week we'll be touching on the men's and women's basketball programs, and with more on that is Henry Crumblish.
Hi, San Jose College. Thanks for joining us for another Corsair Sports Minute. I'm Henry Crumblish, Editor-in-Chief, and with me are David Yapkowitz, Managing Editor, and Trev, Angone, Sports Editor. This week we're going to start the program off with women's basketball, who are off to a rocky start this season with a 5-15 overall record and an 0-5 record in conference. David was most recently at the Glendale game. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, against Glendale, SMC started off really slow. They were forcing passes, making careless turnovers. They were having a lot of trouble converting easy shots around the rim, and they dug themselves into an early hole. Glendale took full advantage, pushed the ball out in transition, and really capitalized on the turnovers. But despite all that, they were able to close the gap as the half went on, and were actually leading by a point at halftime. But as the second half rolled around, we just kind of saw more of the same stuff, more careless passes, turnovers, which Glendale once again took advantage of. SMC was without their leading scorer, Amani Holloway, who is third in the conference in scoring. But despite all that, they had the chance there to make it a game and possibly pull it out, but just real careless mistakes was what did them in.
Rookie mistakes and turnovers will not make it into the playoffs. Trev was most recently at the Bakersfield game. Can you tell us more about that?
More of the same. No Holloway, which David mentioned. She's second in the conference in rebounds, third in the conference in scoring, only sophomore on the team. Everyone else is a freshman. So without Holloway, your odds have to drop pretty big. That being said, Bakersfield just had a lot more size than the Corsairs. They pushed us around. We kept it within 10 the first half, but early on in the second half, they pushed it up to 17, and they never really looked back. But like we said, it was an entirely freshman roster, and without Holloway, you're really asking a lot of those girls to try to, put together a winning effort against a team that's a lot bigger and just put together a 3-game winning streak. Even though this year, might be, in the can, you have this entirely freshman lineup right now. They're going to be the heart of the lineup next year, you would hope. So one sophomore this year, you would hope maybe at least half the team next year be sophomores, giving us a much better shot at conference.
Let's switch gears for a second and talk about the men's basketball program. We started off to a promising 12-7, but are unfortunately 1-4 in conference. David was most recently at the Glendale game. David, can you tell us about it?
Yeah, it was actually a pretty heavyweight matchup, so to speak. SMC had started off this season at a blistering, 11-2, while Glendale was also right up there at the top of the conference. And Glendale is the number one rebounding team in the conference, and they have the third leading scorer in the conference, Gore Plavchian, and he's right behind, Kalen Horton, who's SMC's leading scorer. He's leading the conference in scoring. So, but both teams were without their top scorers. And so it was more of a team effort from both sides, playing without their key guys. And it was a back and forth game for most of the night. SMC's 3-point shooting, which has been one of their huge boosts throughout the season, was really on display. Glendale would build a little lead here or there, and then their 3-point shooting would get them right back into it. But I think, the key difference in that game was Glendale's rebounding. It was really on display, as, they were able to grab multiple second shot opportunities off offensive rebounds, and SMC was limited to only one shot per possession, and Glendale just really capitalized on that, and that really kind of carried them into victory.
If you're going to live by the 3-point line, you're going to die by the 3-point line, and you better be able to get those rebounds. Trev was most recently at the Bakersfield game. Trev, tell us a little bit about it.
Yes, I was at the Bakersfield game. You would have thought that the Bakersfield game was going to boil down to 3-point shooting. You had 4 of the top 5 3-point shooters in the conference on the floor that night, but funny enough, it wasn't really about 3-point shooting. It was more about ball movement, assists, getting the ball down to the bigs. Really great play by the Corsair bigs down low. Without them, we would not have been able to pull it out. We also would not have been able to pull it out without Madison Higgins. He was huge. Madison Higgins is top 5 in 4 different categories, including scoring, assists, 3-point percentage. So we were talking about a lot before the game how, this is going to boil down to 3-point shooting, and the Corsairs are going to have to watch the jump shots and stuff. But they reminded me of a championship team. To move the ball and get it down low, and I was really impressed with what they were able to do.
Today we talked about the Lady Corsairs looking towards next season, as well as the men's team trying to make the playoffs. So thank you David Yapkowitz, Trev Angone, Sam Heron and Henry Crumblish. Join us next week for another Corsair Sports Minute update. I'm Nicki Ahadpour. Stay classy, Santa Monica.